I want to start. Right, family, welcome to Run Unfiltered. Right, we maybe this is going to be the title because these videos are off the top, right? Because I really don't go through any prep. But today is an exciting day. Every time you see today, and every time I say today, I'm talking about the prior day. I hope you know that already, right? This is 12:36, but I'm really talking about Monday. Monday was really exciting, and it's because obviously I got money in the bag, right? Money in the sense of I got funded $50,000, which is cool. And I want to run you through all of that. I want to run you through all of that. Last month I was funded $100,000, and now I'm funded $50,000. And one of my goals with this series that I'm doing on YouTube, this run of filtered videos, is that you kind of see the process. You kind of see what's behind it. You kind of see, learn a thing or two that can actually help your trading career or trading journey, right, as it is. So yeah, don't see me as a mentor or anything. Just look at me as somebody that is sharing years of experience and you can tap in from. And yes, I would also share my journey with you. And today was again beautiful because we got another win in the bag. Right. But let's get into it. One of the things I want us to look at today is the market outlook, right? The market outlook was done this morning, but I didn't handle it. This is one time in many that haven't handled the market outlook, right? But somebody on my channel, somebody I respect so much handled it, and it was bliss and beautiful, right? But I'm also going to talk about, the things that I had planned out for the weekend, right? And what I'm looking at throughout this week. Many of them played out, already yesterday, which was a surprise, right? But that's exactly how price works. It's like, you come into price and you just want to get 1% off and it ends up being a 10% day. It's exactly how it is every time. Like a day where you're not looking to do much because you think the market won't do much, and that day you then make the whole of it, right? Tomorrow is CPI, and I didn't expect the kind of volatility that happened today. And that's just how things work, in this industry. And that's why one of the things that you need to cultivate is the ability to be aware, the ability to be available every single time you are here, you are consistent, and that's how you get paid, right? You continually do the system, and today gives you $50, tomorrow gives you $100, but another day gives you $1,000, another day gives you $5,000, and then it comes back to $20 or $50 or $100. If you get what I mean. Yeah, so let's go on with it. Let's start with the review. Let's start with the outlook, and then we'll go on to the review of today. Right. For the outlook, let me see if I can take you to my journal. Right. So this is a journal I keep, right? Every single day I'm journaling. I'm journaling, daily reviews. I think I've talked a little bit about that, but let's not waste time on that. But let me take you to Sunday while I was prepping for the week. So I did a prep on Saturday, but I think Sunday kind of carries some of the things I was looking at for the week. All right. So I majorly trade gold. And I majorly trade um GU, right? So gold is on top of the list, and then GU supplements it, right? So now, if you look at it, what you see here, right? What I was highlighting is I want to see the next daily candle bearish, right? That's what I want to see. I want to see it's supposed to be weekly candle. I want to see the next weekly candle bearish. So I'm bearish on the week, and the idea in here is previous week's high, even though I didn't highlight it here, but I'm highlighting the one that hasn't been tagged. So the idea of my trading is, and I've said it so many times, if sell side is to occur, buy side liquidity needs to be eaten. Sell side or buy side liquidity is food for sell side delivery, right? So if we are faking out the previous week's high, right, then I'm expecting the previous week's low to be taken. So I kind of have like a clear direction of what I want to do. I want to be selling, right? I want to be selling, right? So when I come on the week, what I want to see happen is I want to see price run lower. And that's what I would focus on. You want to have that, even though trading is an uncertain business, right? The idea of risk is that you choose one side, and in this game, it's because you are educated about that side of it, right? It's because you have an edge, which is having more understanding on or having more leverage on buy side and sell side. So sell side, right? And the leverage in here, very simply put, is previous week's high was taken. I'm expecting liquidity below previous week's low. Now, there's a whole lot that I'm going to dice, right? But that's where it starts, right? Now, This is, the lower time frames I'm looking for. All of these levels. I was already shorting gold from Thursday, like you guys already know, right? So this was just a continuation for that, right? And then GU, right? Very simple analysis. I wanted to see GU return back into old lows. Since this is a bearish order block, I wanted to see sell side. Now, I am bullish dollar and bearish gold because of something that I've talked about most of the year, right? And it's a fundamental technique or fundamental analysis that makes sense, which is understanding the yield market, right? So the yield is the profit on bonds, right? The yield is the profit of bonds. If bond prices are lower, the yield goes higher. And the reason for that is when yield is going higher, something is happening, right? It means there is inflation, right? It also means that the Feds are not willing to cut rates. It's either they are leaving the rates or they are hiking the rates. And the reason why they do that is if they cut rates or when rates are being cut, what happens is inflation comes from that end of things. Money printing comes in and, people are less likely to spend money. So we can't have inflation rising and then the yields running lower, or the Fed's cutting rates is the same thing. If the Fed cuts rates, this will go lower. These are the rates here, right? If they cut it, this goes lower. And now you might ask, okay, what's now the inflation that is happening? The inflation that is happening is the one with the oil markets, right? So if you watched last week, going into the end of last week, we started to hear that, oh, Iran is closing Strait of Hormuz, Trump is bombing Iran. What does that mean? It means that Strait of Hormuz being closed is the story we had all of the year until this time, right? And that story allowed oil to surge because and because if Strait of Hormuz is being closed, that means 20% of where oil is being passed to the world is being closed. That would cause the supply of oil to reduce. The supply of oil being reduced allows for higher demand of oil economics, right? So if we do not have supply, right, then demand is going to rise. So the demand in oil rises and you see oil prices rise. So we hear that, oh, the Strait of Hormuz is bombed, is closed again. What happens? Boom. The supply reduces and then the demand comes in. Now, this is inflation because if we can't get oil, then every single thing becomes expensive because it's oil that we use to fly the jets. It's oil that gets things, your food produce to the supermarket. Everything is transported. So oil is an important factor, right, to the market. And that's why I look at it, right? I don't need to trade it. It's not even a pair that I trade, right? But understanding this allows me to understand what the yield market is most likely to do. Remember, the markets are smart, and the faster you can understand, how things work and kind of track it and move ahead, right, better for you. So if oil is going higher, what will happen to the yield markets? The yield market goes higher. Remember that when yield markets was coming down here, I was telling you guys that until this starts to break this low, I'm still bullish on the yield market. It's still bullish. Technical analysis, breaking market structure here. We've only returned back to discount, just like we did here, and I showed you this example. So if this is still bullish, it shows that the Feds are not willing to cut rates, right? It shows that there is still an inflation problem. Now, you might say, oh, but me, this oil lows that were happening already, didn't you think it was the end of the world? Because during this time, all we heard about was, oh, there's a ceasefire happening. They've come to an agreement, yeah, right, before last week. That was all we were hearing, right? Oh, there's a ceasefire, everything is now coming. The de-escalation of the war is what allowed, oil prices to drop. So it's like, oh, me, when it was coming down here, why were you still bullish on, or why were you still thinking of buy side here? Because remember, I was telling you that, oh, this is, sad for the yield market, and it's why the dollar is going lower the first week of the month, right? It's why the dollar is going lower, but I don't think this is bearish. And the idea that I am working with is with all of the chaos that happened in the beginning of the year for months and months and months, right? Them opening the Strait of Hormuz doesn't mean that oil is just now going to start to go freely. Infrastructures has been destroyed, things have spoiled, and those things will take months, if not years, to get back to shape. And that would still affect the supply. It's like we had everything going smoothly, and then a war happened. Even though the war ends today with a note and conversation, right, it doesn't mean that everything is now in shape. I'm explaining this because this has been my entire premise the whole year. Look at the yield market from March, right down here, has been running higher. If the yield market is going higher, it means the Feds are not cutting rates. If the yield market is going higher, it means dollar chases yield, right? Because the fact this yield market inside of here means that investors are comfortable with leaving their money. If you have bought US bonds, you will be happy leaving your money because you are seeing more rates, you are seeing more profits on that yield. So you would want to leave that, and that means what? More strength to the dollar. So the dollar chases yield. So what happens to the US dollar when the yield is going up? The US dollar goes higher. Now, if the US dollar is going higher, right, when we have the economy of the US strong, what happens? Risk assets deplete, risk assets suffer when we have the dollar going higher. When there is a strengthening dollar, especially fundamentally, right, the yield markets suffer. What are the risk markets suffer? What are risk assets? Risk assets are assets that really do not have a core use in the society. Gold is an investment vehicle rather than a currency vehicle. You can't use gold to transact, right? Even though maybe you can, but you get what I mean, right? The more transactional value is the dollar, right? So gold is a risk asset. So if gold is seeing, if DXY is seeing higher prices, big money, right, would prefer to save their money in something that is much more secure and rising than something that can just flip anytime, which is gold. So when we see the dollar actually seeing a rise, we'll see gold go lower. But I don't want you to go and look at it technically. Oh, dollar is at a bearish order block, then gold will be at a bullish order block going higher. No, that's not how it works. Fundamentally, meaning that what are the Feds trying to do? Are they trying to cut rates? If they're trying to cut rates, right, we saw that from 2023 up to 2025 ending. The Fed Reserve were cutting rates. When they cut rates, money printing comes into the market, and people no longer trust the value of the dollar, so they will invest in risk assets. But when they are not cutting rates, they strengthen dollar, right? And they will take money from risk assets, right, and invest into the dollar. This is not the only risk assets we have. We have what? Bitcoin. So you see how the story aligns, right? Bitcoin has what? Has been challenged all year because it's a risk asset. And we're seeing dollar strength. What is happening to Bitcoin is falling off. This is a very, very key and core understanding that you need to understand. And if this is not clear yet, one of the things you need to do is, just keep watching, keep staying along. As it goes on, you start to understand. It's the same way it happened for me. The first time I heard it, it just seemed like gibberish, but I kept writing it, I kept understanding it, I kept reading about it, and then I became better at it. So risk assets will fall when we have a strengthened dollar, especially when backed fundamentally. So this is why I am bearish on gold, right? So now, because what we have strengthened dollar, we have yield rising, right? So I can be bearish on gold. I can be bearish on gold. So all I would then be looking for will be all of the things I then showed you. So when I come on the chart, I'm not just coming to look for where the next order block is. I'm not just coming to look for where the next, anything is. I'm coming with the notion of I want to see sell side and what conditions puts me in that space. So right here, when I see last week, right, or 2 weeks ago, fake out Monday 29th high, I'm like, oh, we've had buy-side liquidity being robbed. Right. So if buy-side liquidity being robbed and we're seeing price close inside of that candle, right, we'll be reaching for sell side because I'm bearish. So when we play out that theory to the lower time frame, we saw last week we ran into the bearish order block inside of here and started to break lower, right? And on Friday, we'll just go on with that. But I want to show you. Let's see. So previous week's low, that's my draw. Like you can see, we had a big chunk today of that, and just today, right? We had a big chunk. This is just today, a big chunk. This was where we closed last week. right? And we open today and boom, we're all the way down here, very close to the draw already, right? Unfortunately, I was inside of that move, and that was one of the drivers to me getting funded today, which I will explain in a minute. So let's go, right? So we had that run today, right? And I want to show you where I was getting into this from, like how I was looking at this, right? I know I've talked about it, right? But I would again talk about it so that you see, right? One of the things I've started to share, especially with order blocks, is how to find the best type of order blocks. And I said it very clearly. What you want to do is make sure that there's a run on buy side liquidity, right, before you look for trading bearish order blocks. Make sure that there's a run on sell side liquidity before looking to buy bullish order blocks. That's what I've said. So if you look at this run, this is an up close candle. I want to really explain this. I know I'm teaching now. Up close candle, run on sell side, fair value gap. This would be the obvious order block you want to be selling. But when I look at this, what I'm looking at is, oh, there's another order block inside of here. So very quickly, if you think about what I told you was my model, I'm looking for run on buy side, I'm looking for breaking market structure, and I'm looking for returning to premium. So yes, this is a good order block, but this order block is in premium, right? And what was I doing? I was selling right here and making sure that I kept space above that OB for shorts, right? This was what I was doing, right? I know I've explained this. I don't know I'm going back to it, but so that you can see it. So look at this. We have OB here and we have OB here. I love that we want to run this high and get into that OB. So yes, I took my trade from here because there's a possibility that we can get in here and just go lower. So not to miss my chance, I'm accommodating that entry and also not just putting my stop loss above this high because I know there's a high possibility that we take out that high and then go lower, which was exactly what happened, right? And that was Friday's move. Friday's move ended somewhere around here. This was where Friday's move ended, rallied up here. So as we opened on Sunday, remember we're already hearing that, oh, Trump on Saturday was bombing Iran. What will happen when we bomb Iran? It means that oil shock. Oil shock, that means oil is going to rise. And then that means yield is rising. And that means what? Dollar sells. The markets are very smart, so they pick up the information and they already act out. Nothing needs to happen. It's like a news release before Powell even talks or whoever needs to talk. You already see the markets react because all those orders are being primed here. Exactly the same thing here. Boom, gaps down. Right. So as it gaps down inside of here, I had a very good trade that started my run. Right. From down here, as soon as we're here, it was issue session. I was buying that. Right. But let's go into the much more interesting trades right now. So this was what I was doing today, right? Again, I'm bearish, right? I saw price rally all the way up here after coming down here, breaking market structure to this lows. So when I see breaking market structure, I'm looking for what? Return back into premium. Price returns back into that OB. If you look at the function of that OB, it's like all of the other OBs that I've showed you here. Takes out buy side liquidity, and goes into the OB and then falls. Right. So this was where I was looking at it from. And I think I need to show you, my journal. I think I need to show you my journal because I already script that out here for the Outlook. So I'll show you my journal so that you can see what I was really doing. Right, like all of my trades for today. I already took them out away from there because I'm now in Outlook phase. All right, so look at this. So today, let me see. Yeah, this is GU. I want to go into gold. Maybe it's not here. So it will probably be on my mystery. So the inner circle has a template. You get this template when you get into the inner circle. Again, it's like a channel like no other, right? And when I say that, some people just think I'm just blabbing, but we are actually putting a whole lot of work to make sure that you are equipped with everything you need to actually get funded. Again, that's not for you. So let's go into where we want to see. That's 14, 13. Yeah, today's 13. All right. So that was my first trade, right? Asia session. This was good. I loved this, right? Run on sell side liquidity, breaking market structure, discounts, covers the low. Clean trade, very clean trade. I went in very light, but it was very clean as I was just starting the week, and I got in 1% off of that move, right? And then this was the second trade, right? So I got in this trade, and at some point I realigned the trade, and this was really the trade. Let me show you. This was the trade here. So I got into the trade, right, as price was taking out this high, right, and I put my stops here. Right, I put my stops here and I wanted to see sell side because I already saw breaking market structure, but look at what I did not do. I got in right at a discount level without making sure that my stops cover all of the range because the idea of getting at the premium level is that you are able to have your stops cover the high that then proves you wrong if you're wrong. So everything here is breaking market structure because this starts the leg of bearishness. You are just joining in for continuation. So what makes this wrong is when price takes out that high. And as you can see, I took a loss on that. Right. I then got into another trade, right? And but before I come here, before I come to the trade I think I'm just moving all around because I want to show you, because made I already made that journal, but I need to show you. I need to show you. Let me see. It's a good study. I don't know why it's not showing here. Let me see. All right. Sometimes my notion just goes crazy. I don't know, especially when I'm about to show like great information. It just shows, but luckily enough for me, I was documenting also with the inner circle, so I can also just go there and show you that there's something I want you to see there that it's important. That's why I'm hovering around it. If I knew it would take this long, I would have just stopped. But let's actually see it since we're here. Yeah, yeah. All right. Now it's not really showing here. Wow. Wow. Oh, okay. So that we don't waste our time, let's go back to the charts and then maybe we'll come back here. That was Royal Rumble. Now, this is what run of you that is, right? And I'm not going to be editing this. So this is how I don't edit these videos. So this is how they would play out. Right. So the first trade, like I was showing you up there, right? This was how I was getting into it. It's a 1 minute. I trade 1 minute when I trade gold, many times. It's my preferred channel, my preferred entry time frame. Most people don't like it, and I understand why. Right? It can be a very, very deadly time frame. But again, whatever is deadly to somebody, right, is another person's strength. So let me look for, I'm trying to look for that. Okay, okay, okay. I think this is it right here. All right. So this was the trade, right? This was the trade. This was the trade here. Right. So I got in here, as you saw in my screenshot, I got in here and then I put my stops here. And price went, tagged me out, immediately tagged me out. I'm like, shit, man, you compromised your stops. You compromised your stops. Right. So I was looking over that, but I didn't do anything. I just waited. And then another opportunity played out, right? Where we had another breaking market structure. Look at this. Right. Again, that OB pops up here. That was the first thing I saw. Right. The OB pops up, right? The OB pops off here after taking out this old high and then breaking market structure. The moment that breaking market structure came, boom, fair value gap opened up and I sold this. I sold this. So this was my first big trade, right? I sold this down to this level, right? I took major partials off and then I saw another opportunity. I saw another opportunity And then I sold this again. Right. So all of these trades, I think I posted them maybe to the inner circle. Right. But I sold this again. And if you look at both trades, right, they fit exactly the things I've been talking about, because I don't just want to tell you I sold this, I bought that. I want you to exactly see the consistency in just following a three-step system. Run above old highs, breaking market structure, return back into premium. Right. So you can sell that OB, put your stop loss at that high. Right. I sold the fair value gap and still put my stop loss at that high, and then allowed for distribution. Right. And we saw distribution here. This was a very good point to take a trade. Right. And then more happened inside of here. So I was able to get into more trades here because I saw that, oh, there was willingness for price to go lower. So why not? Right. Why not? Especially because I had, TP levels even at those areas. So as soon as price was taking out that low there, I was rounding up everything I was doing on gold. But gold wasn't the only trade I was taking. In fact, gold only brought me up to about 1.5 or 1.6%, right? Is it 1.6 or maybe 2.6%, right? And the rest of the trade, right, was from NAS, which is quite the story, because I have been asking myself why I haven't been able to trade NAS, right? The whole of 2024, 2023 going into 2024, that's the only thing I traded. This was the only pair I traded. This was my pair. People knew me for this. 1 minute and NAS, I traded this. So NAS is my baby. Like the first pair I could call my baby was this pair, and it was because it did me good, right, when I traded it. But at some point, it started to just go bad, just like any pair can be. And then I switched over to GU, and then I went over to gold, and then I trade GU and gold. But I've always been watching NAS every single weekend. I think I still talked about it last week, right? I've always been watching NAS, right? And this weekend also, I watched and I saw something very interesting happening, right? I saw that we had this rally happen, right? And then going into Sunday opening, price broke market structure. Again, the same thing, runnable buy side liquidity, breaking market structure. There was a mitigation block that price already hit here. So when I was watching it, this was very close to 5 p.m. Yeah, 11 o'clock, 4 p.m. actually. Right. As I was watching, the price was just rallying from this low. I'm like, okay, again, the same thing I just talked to you about. We have an OB here. We have another OB here that has a high. I am selling right above that high into that OB. So as soon as price was taking that high, that was exactly, it was so good. So good a sniper entry, right? And I took that trade. Right now, this trade was very, very intentional. I liked the entry, so I was able to, size up properly. It's an important part of trading, that when you actually get what is your A plus setup, what you know to consistently deliver for you, your process, just like I've showed you this in so many time frames, even the ones I did not take. It's because my eyes are now drawn to it, because I see it a lot, right? When you see these things in your system, in your process, right, you are able to say, oh yeah, if I see this thing, I know what to do. And in those situations, you need to capitalize on it. So this was a 1 to 5 trade, and I knew that I have just 5 points. I think I had, yeah, I quite just had, I had like yeah, about 5.7 or 5.6% to go. So you know what I did? I put in a 1% risk. But the idea of that risk was I had to hold it to full TP, right? So at the time the trade was here, let me show you something. At the time the trade was at those lows, I had to like go back to my family. I'm like, okay, guys, look at what this is, right? And I was really feeling being very open and vulnerable, because that's what I do inside of this channel. And I said this. I said, the trades I hate the most are the trades that actually get you funded. Like the last trade that puts you on that, oh, yes, you're funded. I don't like those trades. And the reason why I don't like those trades is, if I was trading a live account or I was trading any other accounts, one of the things I would do is I would take partials, right, as prices get into levels that I like, right, especially on a trade like this where it's a 1 to 6 and like a 1 to 3 has been delivered. Right, I would take good partials on that. So, but on this type of trade where I know if I allow it to run, let me see, if I allow it to run, then I get funded, right? So if I allow it run, I can, why am I not finding the video? Let me see. Uh, or maybe it's here, 20cc. Oh, it's not here still. I've been looking for everything today. Sorry, guys. And it's because it's just really, really good. It's just really, really good. Let me see. Those were the order trades. Okay. So I said the trades that holds the email of getting funded are the ones I don't like. So this was where the trade was. And at this point, right, we have just picked out this loop. And very easily we can reverse. And the trade has already done, a couple of percents already. Like this was almost 2% reading. So I could easily take 1%. But if I take 1%, then this TP level doesn't get me funded again. So I was really, 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 really in it. Right. And I said, if I let it be and it gets to TP, I'm funded. But in my head, this is a partial point. What do you do in this position? And somebody said, B and let it run. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And that's what this channel is about. It's about, you know, being in the midst of people that would let you see and let you follow through to the plan that you've already set for yourself. And it's beautiful. And that's why we have all of the results, right? So I let it be. All right. And at this point, I was like 10% away. My heart was palpitating, right? Don't worry. And then bam, right? I got funded on that, right? Got the email, which was interesting, right? Which was interesting. And yeah. So let's go back to the trade and really look at how how that trade is. I think it's a very simple trade again, right? I am thinking sell side because risk assets, which NAS and SPX, even though they have a different dynamic, and maybe I will explain on another day, they fall into, right? They are also risk assets, especially right in times where we have geopolitical offsets, right? Which is what we're having right now. So technically it was good also, bearish breaker, right, breaking market structure. We have an OB there. We run our buy side liquidity, breaking market structure. OB, right, from the run of buy side liquidity, pretty, right. So we had that sales coming, and that was good. So it was a pretty good day, right. And I hope you are able to learn something on the day. To kind of look at what I'm looking at for tomorrow, to just give you heads up, right. Gold, I'm still looking for sell side, right. I'm looking for sell side into the 3900. Right, I'm looking for sell side into the 39, yeah, 39.40, and all the way down to maybe 38.887. But first, this is where we are, right? So today's CPI, right? Today's Tuesday already. CPI. I'm expecting that we have a return back into this range if we can, and then I'll be looking for more shots down into this level. That's right, kind of like what I have right now for gold. For GU, I kind of like missed my targets. I wasn't going to take a trade, but even if I was going to take a trade, I would have not I would have not gotten that trade in. I was going to sell at this up close candle here. So it would have missed me by a couple of pips, right? And it's the same thing, right? We had run into a bearish OB here. We had breaking market structure, and this is mitigation block. In my journals, I was writing that this is the mitigation block, not this, right? This is the down close candle running. This was just inside information, and then we had the break. So the sales are from here, not from here. So even though I was trying to take that trade, I'll probably not get it, but it was good. I think London session for JPUSD was very good. 1 hour time frame, I'll take it there, and then we'll close it here. Right, look at that. Right, we opened on the day, right, and we run higher. We take out Asia's high, and we go into a 1 hour bearish order block at London session. Beautiful. I did a 5-part series going into the new year, right, and talked about a simple bias system that doesn't need high time frame bias. Very beautiful, very, very simple system, and it's Asia's high to Asia's low, and this was the criteria, right? If we take out Asia's high, are we running into a bearish order block on the left side of the chart, right? We take out Asia's high, are we running into a bearish order block? Are we doing it in a time that we understand? London session or New York session? And in this case, it was London session. So that's a good trade there, right? Where your stops will be above this high, and you can just aim for Asia's low or lower if you have more targets, right? But that was London session. In New York session, we had a continuation, breaking market structure, return back into mitigation, and then falls off, right? So again, this was good, and let me know your thoughts. Let me know how has your Monday started? How has your week started? You probably have not done anything, but let me know in the comments if you know what you're looking at. Do you think gold is going to continue to sell, or do you think that was just a run lower for buys to come in? Right? Do you think GU is still primed to go higher, or do you think DXY, right, could still see lower prices, right? What exactly are you looking at? Let me know in the comments. I would like to see it. I would like to engage. And yeah, I know it's a long one, but I really wanted to just express my review and how I'm feeling, right? And yeah, it's a great start of the week, and I wish you a profitable week also. Bless up, family.